these habits you think aren't going to work, but they really, really work.
My name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, oh, hey, you're a mom? That is fabulous. But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
Brought to you by the Healthy Marriage Project. Just click on one of their ads to find out about a healthy relationship workshop near you. We are back with Tricia Goyer, the author of Lead Your Family Like Jesus. We're going to give a book away today if anyone wants to call in. This could really change your family life. The principles in here are fantastic. 303-297-1510. Please feel free to call. We got a number of calls last week. Spencer Olson, who gave us a wonderful call. I want to say hello to he and his wife who follow the show, and we're grateful for them. And for his wife, who mothers 3 kids. Tricia, I wanted to say something to you. In the midst of all this, I was thinking about my car. And on the way in, I drive 45 minutes in from the mountains. And I reached back because I saw that there was a cereal bowl in the back seat with milk still in it and Cheerios still in it from a day or 2 ago. And I thought, I'll just pick this up and put it up on the floor so at least it doesn't spill all over the car. It was stuck to the leather seat because because the milk had poured out of it. And so when I was stuck, and I thought, this is what moms do that make them feel imperfect.
Just living in the moment.
Just living it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Keeping it real. Yeah. So anyway, addressing those moms who have cereal bowls in the backs of their cars thinking, I don't do this right. Everything's a mess. I'm completely out of order. I don't have enough time to clean everything. What is a word of comfort you can give to them about some habits? You talk about 5 habits in the book that they can establish to get control of their family life again.
Yeah, and these habits, you can think, okay, it's going to be something about organization. I mean, these habits you think aren't going to work, but they really, really work. So I just want to preface it with that.
Okay.
The first habit is solitude. And you're like, yeah, right, I never had solitude as a mom. But really, even if it's like 3 minutes in the bathroom while the kids are watching their favorite cartoon, you need that time. You need that quiet. Just, I love the verse that says, be still and know that I am God.
Yeah.
Just for a moment, I like to sit there. Sometimes I'll even go to my bed and throw the comforter over my head for a couple minutes and say, God is in heaven. He is in control of everything. You know, it's not, the world is not tumbling around me, that really I can just turn to Him. And so that solitude, we need to take those few deep breaths.
We do. I used to lock myself in my prayer closet because really, you don't want to scream and yell and hurt your kids.
Right.
So you
absolutely.
really do need that time to say, you know what, I'm not super in charge. There's somebody who's more super in charge than me.
Yes.
And that helps you take that breath.
And He wants to help you. He's there to help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which leads to the second one is prayer. And prayer is just talking to God. We don't have to have anything memorized. We don't have to be eloquent. Sometimes I'm like, God, I just want to strangle this child right now.
Yeah.
Can you please help me?
Yeah.
And just having that prayer time, whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes I'll just wake up, and if I'm really quiet and I don't move, then they'll keep sleeping. If I move, then they hear me and they all wake up.
Yeah.
And I'll just lay there and pray for 5 minutes. And then the third habit is studying and applying Scripture. And like we talked about before, God's principles really do help.
Oh, there are all kinds of business principles. Sorry to interrupt you. There are all kinds of business principles in Proverbs.
Absolutely. And it talks about, a gentle answer turns away wrath. I mean, that's something I could use every single day.
Yeah.
With my kids when I'm smiling and saying, don't do that. They respond completely different when I'm like, stop doing that right now. So, I mean, all those things apply. And then the fourth habit is accepting God's unconditional love. And I think this was one because I had a messed up teen years. I did everything that I shouldn't have been doing. I was a teen mom when I was 17 years old. And for a while I thought, I need to be better. I need to do better. And I put these high standards on myself. And then once I realized that God loves me just like I am, He's not going to love me anymore if I do everything perfect. He's not going to love me any less if I really mess up today. And just walking in that love and understanding that love really just makes my whole day go better, my whole week go better. I don't feel like I have to prove anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, those are great principles. And you say that this all springs from something called the H4 framework, and then I want Shelley to ask a question around that. But list the things that are involved in the H4 framework that are part of all this.
Absolutely. And there are just 4 domains that we talk about in the book. This is your heart, your heads, your hands, and your habits. So we just talked about the habits. Those are the things that we continue to do to refocus our desire and to lead our children as Jesus would.
Yeah.
We could lead them many ways, but to lead them as Jesus would, you really need to have those habits. The heart are your own character and values. Your head is your viewpoint, and your hands are what you actually do. So that's the service part. So first it has to start in your heart. You have to, this is who I am. And then you have to believe it, and then you have to do it, and then the habits continually keep you renewed, so you keep doing it. Because, you can have one good day where we try to do everything right, and the next day it all falls apart. Well, the habits will keep us in there.
Yeah, and habits are huge, and I don't want people to give up on that. You can develop new habits. You absolutely can. Shelley and I were talking about vision casting, and businesses do it all the time. People do it when they design bucket lists and everything. What do I want my life to look like before I die? Shelley wants to talk about that specifically with kids because we didn't get to it in the last segment. Go ahead, Shelley.
Yeah,
absolutely.
How do the kids put that into their own words, especially if they're a little older? I have a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. How would you have them go about doing that for themselves?
I think with the label thing that we talked about earlier, describing, like, if you could pick 3 or 4 words to who you are, and sometimes our kids can't see who they are. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're like, I don't know, I like to play video games or whatever. And so, for example, my son loves story. My oldest son, he loves stories, and so he loves, like, every time there was a movie on, we would be explaining plots and characters, and I'd say, really, you really are creative. And he didn't see himself as a creative person, but I saw that. Or my daughter, when she was younger, we called her strong-willed, but she was a leader, and she led her friends. And my mother-in-law told me once, she said, you know what, she's strong-willed, but if you put her in the right direction, she will do great things, and she gets her mindset. And so once, I told her, like, 13 or 14, you're a leader, and you need to, really know what you believe. She embraced that, and now she's 21. She just graduated from college, and she just this week headed to Europe for a year as a missionary. We'll live over there and teach English and just connect with people. And 21 years old, but you know what? Once I kept reminding her that you're a leader, and that you have a desire to follow God, and every time she was fearful of something, I'd remind her, remember that time that you stepped out and did a speech in front of your class, and just show them places that they do excel. And sometimes they can't see it, but we could be the ones that can really speak that into their lives, and then they start seeing themselves that way. And we can encourage them. So
you help them with their labeling in a way.
Absolutely.
You can help them identify things. I like that. I've been telling my son that he's been a leader for years, and he steps into that. And Shelley's been telling her kids, I think you have told your kids that they're musically inclined, and so they have confidence in that area, right?
They are.
Yeah. And so they embrace that. And let me just say something, Tricia. You go, teen mom, you did all right. Your kids, and I want other moms to grab a hold of that. Can you just talk for a minute, Tricia, about how any mom who's out there thinks, well, I can't do this, and my family's out of control, or they may think I'm going through a divorce, you don't understand, or I have an addiction issue, you don't understand, or I had my baby at 16 and this isn't going to work. What can you tell them about how you can overcome this?
Absolutely. Well, like I mentioned before, I was a teen mom. I had my son at 17 years old. I dropped out of high school. I ended up finishing my credits at home. But basically, I remember thinking, I don't even know what I can offer this child. I'm 17 years old. I have no job. My boyfriend was out of the picture. I finally said, you know what? I'm the only one that my child has. And I turned over to God. I said, God, I've messed up my life. If you could help me with this, please do. And it was that one little simple prayer where I started, praying and reading my Bible and saying, okay, maybe I can sign up for college classes, and maybe I can start praying for a future husband. But any time in our life, we have the choices that we could make. We could either stay where we are, or we could say, God, how do you see me? Where do you want me to be? How can I grow? If there's something you want to do, spend 15 minutes a day doing it. With writing, my kids were little, and I would spend 15, 30, worked up to an hour of writing while they were napping. And now, 20 years later, I have 30.
Absolutely. You started a good habit. We have another guest coming up, Tricia, so we have to let you go. But thank you for writing Lead Your Family Like Jesus. I'm excited to read it, and I really appreciate your having written it. And God bless you. We'll have you on the show again soon.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care, Tricia.